In this tutorial, I'm going to go over how I prep my cup as well as how I remove the tape. One of the biggest things I get asked about is if I prep my cup and removing tape. So I thought I would do a video just to show you what I do. I have not always sanded my cups prior to actually applying the glitter, but I have started doing that now because it does give either the paint or epoxy or Mod Podge or whatever you use as your adhesive, it gives it something to adhere to. So right now I am using an elastic band and using that around my cup to guide where I'm gonna place my tape, and that's how I get my line to be the same every time I do it. I just have a little mark on my ruler and I push my elastic band down to where that mark is on my ruler, and then I know that it's the same all the way around. And then I apply my tape, and I just leave just a slight little space in between where my tape starts and the elastic band starts, and then that way my tape is the same all the way around. When I cut my tape, I leave a little tab at the very end, and then I fold it under so that it will be easy to grab when I go to remove my tape. And for this cup, I'm actually going to do the epoxy method when I apply the glitter. And so I remove my tape immediately after applying my glitter. And on the bottom, I just use the line that's already there and apply it that way. If I wanted to do a different line, I would use my elastic band again and just make sure I have the same distance for the tape all the way around again. And like I said, my new way to prep my cups is with sandpaper. I use 400 grit sandpaper, and I just sand where it's not taped, because you don't want to sand it prior to adding your tape if you are going to do a taped off one, because you will sand the smooth part of it, and you don't want to do that. And I was just showing you what I'm using, and I use a PVC pipe, and I have placed it inside of a foam football, and I stick that inside my cup. And then I just sand away, as you see here. I just want to make sure that I'm getting it sanded enough that there's going to be a good adhesion for whatever my adhesive is. So I want to make sure that I'm sanding all the way up along the top of where the tape is, as well as the bottom, and then especially in that dip, because I have seen some people have issues with cracking and stuff with their epoxy in that dip where it actually tapers down. And so that is one reason why I started doing this, is that I know that accidents can occur with these cups, and so I want to do everything that I can as a cup maker, that if there are mishaps like that, that I've done everything I can to prevent anything from happening to a cup that I know people have paid good money for and that they love. So that's one reason why I started doing the sanding on my cups. And once I'm done sanding, I get a coffee filter and use either acetone or 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I wipe down all of the metal shavings basically that you have sanded off of your cup. And I do this until my filter is clean. So I want to make sure that there's no particles or anything that's going to stand in the way of my adhesive from adhering to the cup. So once my filter is clean and I'm not getting anything back when I'm wiping it, then I know I'm good to go for the next step, which is applying my adhesive. And I didn't show you guys glittering my cup because you guys have seen plenty of my videos if you go watch the rest of my channel, and I've done a lot of those. But this cup I did use the epoxy method to glitter it, and this is District 12 from Featherbear Bling. And when I remove my tape, I pull it down and away from the cup, so I pull it in the direction of the edge. And what that does is keeps your line straight. And I'm doing this immediately after I have applied the glitter, because your epoxy should be fairly set up by then, and you don't want it to be hard and cured or your tape will not be able to be removed. So I do go ahead and pull it immediately after my glittering is done. Now, when you do glitter with epoxy, as I've said before, you want to make sure that you keep applying it until your epoxy stops soaking it up. And I said that it looked wet, and somebody asked what I meant. And your epoxy does soak up your glitter. So it'll kind of look kind of flat, and some people like that look. I've done both looks, but that's what I meant by that, is that your epoxy will soak it up. So when I'm applying glitter, and this cup did not have a base coat of any color, and so I applied it directly to my stainless steel after I had sanded it, which I showed you. And so I just went ahead and did you keep applying it until it's done. And what I'm showing you here is I take a makeup wedge sponge and I put alcohol 91% on it. And then those little creases that you get when you pull your tape, where it shows the epoxy kind of slipped through the tape, I use my makeup sponge and the alcohol to remove those and just clean up anything that's on the edge that I do not want showing. And the step that you didn't see here is that I did add epoxy to my cup, and then the step that I'm doing here is I've waited approximately 30 minutes after I have applied my epoxy to remove my tape. And it is a little bit of a hot mess when I'm doing this, because as you pull, it kind of pulls your turner a little bit and throws it off. So you do see me kind of wiggling it here and moving it back just to make sure that I'm not messing it up or I'm going to pull it off. But I do just pull my tape down and away, as you can see here, because you don't want to pull it towards your cup. If you pull it towards where the glitter and the epoxy is, I have dropped my tape on top of there and just messed things up. So you don't want to do that. You want to pull it down and away from where you're actually glittering and where your epoxy is. That way you keep it clean. And once you do that, I also do the same thing as I do when I apply my glitter with epoxy, and I just use a makeup sponge, wedge applicator, and isopropyl alcohol, and clean up those little streaks that it leaves on the edge. And then also if there's any weirdness with my epoxy after the tape has been removed, then I just clean that up. And I will note, if you forget to remove your tape, if you have left it on for an hour or two or whatever, you can hit it with a heat gun and kind of pull your tape as you're hitting it with a heat gun, and it'll soften your epoxy enough that you can pull that tape off, and then you can kind of hit the edge of that with your heat gun once you've pulled the tape completely, and it'll soften that edge up so you don't have such a harsh edge. I actually just did that last night, which is never fun, but at least there is a way to kind of get past that and make it look clean and perfect again. So I hope this has helped you.
Trade your plan for something familiar. I can't waste a day. I can't stay the same. I wanna be different. I wanna be changed till all of me is gone, and all that remains is a fire so bright the whole world can see.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Drop me a comment if you have any questions.